guys, it's Linda Winter and
Darla Bucalo.
I'm so happy to have her here again in Pensacola, Florida, and we have a brand new project. This is a project that's been out there on the internet everywhere. Everybody's been doing this project, but Darla not only did one, but she did two. And after the fact, I had templates made. So Darla did it without the templates. Did you do paper templates? I never asked.
Yes.
Okay, so she made paper templates. How much fun was that?
Not a lot.
Not a lot. Okay, so this guy here, this is the small, this is the large. You might have seen these in this configuration. You might have seen it where this half was showing. You know, basically this wasn't down here. I don't like that because this is a fold. There's fold over here. And this would have to be a fold. I'm not crazy about folding and folding my fabric, even if I don't have an interfacing on. But once I have an interfacing, oh, forget it. So this small makes this. I'm going to open this up where we are here, and then I'll have Darla show you the large because the large has some special features in there. So this guy here, when we open this up, you can see it's a box. But this is called the open wide. Let me pull that down a little bit. Open wide pouch. This has already been etched in. I used my metallic Sharpies to go color in. And I wrote, and here comes Kat. We're going to see if we can keep Kat out of the camera. I wrote 12 by 12 and a half. I'll talk about that in a minute. But this is the open wide pouch small. And you just saw Kat's tail. And that is Kat's name, Kat. All right, when I open this up, now it becomes an open box. And there is a gusset or insert, and there's a handle. We'll talk about all of those, but it lays flat. So makeup or crayons or whatever tools that you want to have in here, they can go inside here. And then when we just fold it up and zip it up, those gussets or the inserts keep everything inside from falling. And she's also done a zipper on both sides, which is really cool. So you could, instead of going all the way around, you could zip halfway and then zip halfway as well. All right, show them all the extra stuff that you did for the large.
Okay. Open it up here. And it opens just like a box. There is a pocket on the side. And then we have a pocket that goes in the center with a zipper opening. And then we have the gussets on the side, and it's all encased seams, so you have no open seams in it. And
then tell them about your pocket too, because what did you do to it? You lined it.
I lined it so it has fabric on the inside as well as the outside.
And you could do this out of vinyl or whatever too. So if you wanted to put messy stuff in there, you know,
Yes.
that's a possibility too. So the larger size versus the smaller size. So today we're going to do the basic pouch. This guy here. We're not going to do this pocket here. We're not going to do this pocket here. Those of you that have lots of experience, you'll be able to say, I can figure that out. I can figure that out. But we're going to do the basic. One, it's just more time. Two, this is a good one to learn. And I have a template coming for this, and I have a template coming for this too. So when this one is available, the templates are available, then we may do written directions. We may do another video. Darla lives a good little ways from Pensacola. So I'm hoping I can talk her and her husband Jim into coming back down again. But right now, this one will get you by. And you're going to be thrilled with how to make this. Now this sometimes, I mentioned that's on the internet, and it's called different things. Magic pouch is probably the most popular name. Have you seen it called anything else?
No, just the wide open and the magic, I think.
And maybe a box pouch or something. I don't know, but I love that this is a diagonal on the side here from the edge, and then it goes down the middle too. Okay, so we're going to get these two out of the way for now, and I want to talk about the templates. This guy here and this guy here, they have cut marks here, and cut marks here and here. So that means that we can cut into the corners. When we cut, because we have this space here, how we use our rotary cutter is going to be a little bit different. This is larger over here. You know, when I look at that opening, I'm trying to figure out how to show. Let's see. I don't know how to show that, but you can see this here is much much wider here than it is here. So I'm going to show you how to do this one because it's a little bit harder to do. Also, I want to point out the 2 holes that are here. This was the very first one that we had made. There are 2 holes. The template that you'll actually be able to purchase will just have 1 hole. That's for the strap placement. And Darla's going to show you a neat technique where you don't have extra bulk for the strap when you attach it. All right, so I put the measurements on here, and that measurement, the 12 inches, when we look here, from edge to edge, I've got 12 inches in this. And the template is laid out a little weird. You're going to see when we cut the fabric, oh, I get it. But this is 12 inches. When I go this way, I've got almost, you can see, let me scoot it up a little bit. You can see from here to here, it's 6 1/8. So basically 12.5, because this is your fold that's here. I didn't mark the fold, but it does say fold. So your fabric needs to be bigger than 12 by 12.5. Your fabric needs to be bigger than 16 by 16.5. So give yourself an extra 1/2 inch or 1 inch on that. And I mentioned that it's going to look a little more logical when you have it where it's already cut. You can see this here. That's what we're going to be cutting. So I want to show you how to cut that. You can cut yourself a square out of fabric, and you can go ahead and iron on. Oh, I was going to have you talk about, let's talk about what fusibles you like to have.
I used SF101 that goes on the inside lining, and on the outside I used the fusible fleece. And then on the handle, I just use SF101, or if you want it stiffer, you can use a decor bond on it, but SF101 works fine.
And for the gusset, we're going to use, go ahead and talk about that while I find my
We're going to
interfacing.
use where the interfacing goes through half of it, so that way it gives it a little bit more stability for on the edges of the box.
And I'll show you how to cut. There's a bunch of different ways you can cut the size that we need, but we need a 3 by 8, 3 by 8.5, in between 8 and 8.5, probably 8.5 would be better to start with, and you could make it smaller if you needed to. So I'm going to show you how to cut this. I'll have a template again that will be this size that you need for the gussets. Since I don't have that template yet, I'm going to be using this. So the 8.5 microwave bowl, cozy, you can use any ruler, but I'll show you how to do those too. All right, so SF101 is, of course, a whole lot easier to cut than the fusible fleece. So I've ironed on the fusible fleece to this, and I've got a square that's larger than my 12 by 12.5. I'm going to fold this in half. You can work on the front. I really recommend you working on the back, because if you need to go draw in, you can draw in. Actually, it really doesn't matter, because when you draw in here, you're going to be cutting that off anyway. I'm going to turn this here. I want you to be able to see. And on camera, it looks like I've got a big overhang. I do have some, but not a whole lot. I line this up perfectly on that edge. That's critical. And again, it looks like it's hanging way over, but it's not. I'm going to turn it this way. And this, for me, I can see that this is right along the edge. Again, camera showing more fabric, but it's really not. All right, left-handed me versus right-handed you. Whichever way you're going to be doing this, we're going to be cutting in one direction, and then we're going to turn. So what do I mean by that? When we get into here, I'm going to cut one way, and then I'm going to cut another way. So I'm going to start at the folded edge. So you're going to probably, if you're right-handed, start over here. You really want to put pressure on here, because this, with the fusible, is pretty thick. So when I go to cut, I'm going to cut straight off. If I put pressure on here, I'm going to cut straight and not have all the jagged edges. If you don't put enough pressure on there, you're going to have little jags on there. And those little jags, it's not a big deal. You can go trim them up, but I don't really want to if I can get good results. So put pressure down. I'm going to turn this here. I'm going to put good pressure here, and I'm going to go cut inside of here. You notice where my finger is? It's not in line. If I had it here, I might be in trouble, because if you don't get into that cut and you go over, ouch, we don't want to do that. So my fingers were out of the way, but I had good pressure. I'm going to pull that back a little bit, and you can see we're cutting into that box. I'm going to cut this way, which seems weird. I'm not in. I'm going to be as far back as I can go, and I'm going to go all the way. And again, pressure as you go. If you have to walk your fingers down, and I'm going into that cut mark. Pull back, just hold on tight when you're pulling back. I'm going to turn my template. I'm going to go back here a little bit just to get myself started, and I'm going to cut here. And again, I'm holding down nice and tight. And you can see I've got a little bit of thread there. We're going to maybe clean that up with the rotary cutter or leave it and use your scissors for that. I'm ignoring all of this for now. I want to get rid of all of this bulk right along the edge, and you can see I've got a nice clean cut because I kept pressure. We're going to go back to here again, and now we're going to turn this way. I've got a little bit of a thread there. I'm probably not going to be able to catch there, but I'm going to put my hand and I'm just walking down, moving my fingers as I go, and I'm going inside. And you can see I didn't get all of that. I'm okay with that because I'm going to remove the template and I'm going to grab my scissors. My precision scissors, whatever sharp scissors that you have, you can see it's 2 threads. I mean 2. So that, and then down below I'm going to snip. We've already got most of the cuts there. When we cut the other day without the fusible on, we cut a little bit further, like a 1/16 of an inch maybe. So single layers of fabric, you may get a clean cut. With the fusible, I did 2 layers. That's a lot of bulk for the rotary cutter to go inside. But you can see it still gives me a nice finished corner. So this here, we got not this way. Do you see how that doesn't line up? It's this way. So again, it's a little bit weird looking, but that's basically how we're going to cut that. So we would do the same thing for the large. The large, you've got more space inside of here to cut. So I think it's easier to do the large than it is the small if you're looking at doing, you know, one thing in particular. All right, so we have got inside of here a gusset or an insert. We're going to be calling it an insert for practical purposes. And with this, you ended up using SF101, but not all the way through. Tell them why we don't want to have all the way through.
You don't want to have the bulk in the seam because of all the layers that's going to come together. It'll make it harder to sew.
And it's a neat little trick for other projects that are similar to this too. All right, so for the insert, we need it to be 7 by 8.5. And we're going to be cutting 2 of those. So you can do what I'm doing now with 2 layers of this if you want to. I'm just going to show you one just for practical purposes. And then for the insert interfacing, because we don't want that seam allowance, and we only want 1 layer because we don't need to have 2 layers of it, we're going to be cutting 3 to 8.5. And it could be 8.25. It could be, it doesn't have to be exactly 8.5, but we want it to be close to 8.5. So I've got my interfacing. I've got fabric here. This fabric goes with the orange that I cut just a little while ago, but I want you to be able to see. I'm going to use my microwave bowl cozy. The microwave bowl cozy comes in 8.5 squares, but you can use any ruler. You can use whatever it is that you want to cut yourself the 7 by 8.5. This is 8.5 by 8.5. So what we're going to do is go ahead and just cut. And if I were really doing this, I wouldn't even have all of this. I'd have it lined up to the edge just so I could have a little bit of extra fabric to be able to do something with. But these would be great for all of those scrappy projects. The blue bags that we showed so many of yesterday, the dumplings, they would be great for those scraps too. So I've got an 8.5 by 8.5. So what do I want to do? I want to pull this over. I'm going to line this up to the edge of my mat. And I'm just going to take one of my rulers. I'm going to take the longer ruler that I have. This is part of the tiny pouch that we filmed. And I've got 1.5 inches. I'm going to hold this down. I'm going to place this here. And when I bring this along, I'm looking up here. I can see a little bit of the line. So I'm going to scoot that over and I'm looking down here. I want to make sure that I haven't moved my fabric. And we're basically going to be cutting now 7 inches because we're taking off that 1.5 inches. So we've got a 7 by 8.5. So we've taken care of our insert. Now we want to do the interfacing. The interfacing you can do in a bunch of different ways. I've got my 3 by 8.5. We can go ahead and place this on. And I'm going to cut off. And I'm going to cut off. And notice what I did. I cut this way and I cut this way. If you're not comfortable doing that or you're not getting a clean edge, you would just turn and cut off that way. Your comfort level with the rotary cutter and with the templates, totally up to you how you do that. So I've got my 8.5. Now I want to get 3 inches. I've got this piece here that's going to be for
the strap.
The strap. And the strap will show you, again, Darla's trick for doing the strap. It's one that you're going to use on a lot of other projects where you're going to be sewing it to something and you don't want all that bulk. So what do I do with this to get it the 3 by 8.5? Because this is 3 by 6. I'm going to fold this in half, line up my edges, and I'm going to place this along, and I'm going to look to see that my fold is along the edge of my mat, and I'm going to place my template so that it's fairly straight, because if I put a fold on an angle when I go to cut, I'm not going to get a rectangle. I'm going to get something kind of wonky. So there's my first, and remember earlier I cut like this. I'm going to turn that. So based on, oh, and you see the interfacing? That's kind of a great thing. Interfacing doesn't always grab, so we don't want to make that cut. I did a video where we were talking about vinyls and plastics and those kinds of things, and when you go to cut, they don't always grab evenly. So I hadn't really ever paid attention to interfacing not doing that. But I have rough side to rough side. And the rough side to rough side, they don't move evenly. Notice what I did. I lined up to the edge here, and I'm just going to go ahead and cut. That's going to give me my 3 by 8.5. Now, Darla's going to talk about placement, because this is a big deal about where we place that.
You want to take it and iron it so that it's 1/4 of an inch from the edge. Because that way it'll allow this and SF101 to not be in your seam allowance, but yet gives the stability, because then when you're going to sew this, the ends together, it's going to end up being 1/2 an inch longer on the one side, because you're using that as sort of the binding as far as in here with the seam, because you're sewing it to the seam and then it gets flipped over and sewed.
It's a cool technique. Yeah. All right, so I'm going to press this for you, and you're going to start in on the process and tell them what we need to do first to get the sewing going.
Well, I'm going to start by doing the handle. We have it cut the 3 by 6, and it's got SF101 on it. And I'm going to fold it in half. And I'm going to sew a scant 1/4 inch seam on it. And then do the same on the other side. And I'm going to back stitch and do the same on this edge. And then I'm going to take and trim some of the bulk off. And especially on the part that's going to get folded in, I'm going to do it so it's about 1/8 of an inch. And then the same for this side. And then when you go to turn it inside out, I'm going to use the tool here. And then what I want to do is take and fold inside, and this way you have a nice square bottom. And do the same for the other side. And get it folded here. And I'm just going to use the tool that Philip has to finger press it. And then it's just a matter of top stitching it. And I'm going to top stitch it at like 1/8 of an inch from the edge. And I'm going to have my needle down and sew across the end. And needle down again. And needle down. And sew it right up to the edge where I started. And I usually do like 1 or 2 stitches back and then just to kind of secure it. And then trim my threads. And you have the handle sewed. So now we just finished the handle, so we need to mark where the handles go on the outside fabric. And so then we're going to take and place the template on, and this top hole that we have here is what you're going to take I think this is like a roller type ink pen, and just mark it, and then you're going to flip it over to the other side.
And this template was the prototype, and it has 2 holes.
And
You're going to have a template that only has 1 hole, and that way you don't get confused as to why are there 2 holes. Originally, we were going to mark the top and the bottom, but you may make a handle a little bit differently too. So.
Yeah, and you don't need to have both holes on it. One's fine for placement. Then once you have the holes marked, like I do here, then you're going to take your handle and you're going to place it right on, whoops, I should do it this way, right here, and then we're going to sew the other side like this. So I'm going to go to the sewing machine, and I'm going to put my machine on zigzag because I think zigzag holds it a little bit better.
And if you're comfortable pinning this in place, then go ahead and pin. If you don't need to, then stitch away.
And this is where you'll probably want to zigzag and do a back stitch. To really secure it. And then trim threads. And then we're going to have it where we have the other mark. And place it right on that mark. And then we're going to zigzag and back stitch and then stitch forward. And then you'll see that we've attached it on the back, and then you have the handle. Okay, so then next, what we're going to do is take this, the lining, and I'm going to go this way, and we're going to put the zipper in. I have a zipper that's way longer than the size of it, which is fine. Because that way then if you need to make any adjustments or anything like that when you're sewing and you want to have the zipper facing your outside fabric. And I'm going to get the zipper foot put on my machine.
And while you're doing that, I'm going to give you measurements of the zipper that she's using here. And zippers, if y'all haven't seen the dumpling videos that I've done, we're measuring from the zipper end to the zipper pull itself when we measure zippers. So we've got, it's like a 22-inch, I would consider this a 22-inch zipper. So for the large, we need a 22-inch, and I'll get you measurements for the small, and I'll have that in the description on the website for you.
And what I'm going to do is clip it in place. I like to take and find the center too of the zipper. And I can just take a quick pin. To mark it. Or some people like to take and clip it too. Can do that.
And you're going to be sewing all three together at the same time. Some people might be more comfortable by basting the zipper onto the outside fabric or stitching it onto the outside fabric first. So it's up to you as to what you want to do in the process.
And I'm also going to find out where the center is and then just kind of clip it and find it for the center on this one and clip it. And then we'll take the center of this and put it to the center that I clipped. Oops, I gotta have it the other side up. I don't want to put it wrong way.
So teeth facing down for the outside fabric.
Yes, because then when it's sewed, it's gonna go like that.
Flip nicely.
Yes.
If you've done zippers before, you've probably done it wrong. So we don't want to do that again. If you're new to zippers, then the teeth go down to the outside fabric.
And then once we have it clipped, so that we have it in the general area, then we're going to take and put it so that this is centered on the marks. Also, I suppose I should do it this way. This part I can leave, but I just get the basics so that I know that it's there. And then we're gonna, oops, gotta get my foot down. The machine talks to me.
I love a machine that corrects us or that reminds us. And again, your comfort level on zippers is going to dictate whether you do the outer fabric, the zipper, and the lining fabric, or just the outer fabric and the zipper, and then adding the lining next.
Yes, because you could do 2 separate steps if you want to.
Yeah. If you're not confident with the zipper, then sewing it onto the outer fabric, I think, makes you feel a little more comfortable, and then you can place the lining in position and not worry about the zipper.
Then to turn the corner, I have my needle down, and then I'm making sure that I get all my layers here, and then sew across the top. And then we're gonna lift it up.
And I like the angle of this zipper and the top. I think it's easier to pivot, than doing a curve sometimes.
Yes. And then I like to take and trim the extra off of the fabric just on the corners. And then I usually try to clip right here the zipper and then trim away the fabric here. And same on this side. If I can trim it and then clip it and then trim this. That gets it so that it relaxes a bit. And then
Sneak peek.
Yep. And once you get it turned inside out, you can kind of press it open if you'd like. At least on the straight edges. Oops. And then the next thing would be to top stitch. And I gotta get my chair here in the right spot. Actually,
And
I
you
should
could
probably
press
do
that down if you want to.
Yeah.
Do you want me to press?
Well, that might help.
All right, so we're going to press and we'll be back in a minute.
So now I'm going to take and top stitch, and I've switched my foot so that I'm going to be on the right side so that I can top stitch. Okay, now we have one side done. Now we have the other side. And so what I do is I match the centers, which I gotta snip my sides to find the center. And the same on this one. I'll take these. Okay, so now I have the right sides of my fabric that I'm going to be putting together to the zipper. And then I have the lining part going on the other side and matching up. So then I'm going to clip those. And then we're going to clip these. And okay, match this. And then I gotta switch my foot back to the other side to put the zipper in. Get the thread all the way here. Okay, now I'm going to clip my threads. And then I'm going to take and unzip the zipper. Pulled on the thread. Oh, I still got to do the zipper tape here. And trim a little more. And cut it. And then we'll take and do the zipper.
Important step to unzip that zipper.
Yeah.
And again, if y'all have done zipper bags before and you've gone on to the next steps and not unzipped your zipper, it's a lot of fun.
Well, I have this too close to the zipper right there. Ah, there we go.
There we go.
Doesn't want to.
I think this would make a really nice gift. You know, you could fill it with goodies if you wanted to, but just by itself, it would be a really, really nice gift. This has been, for the people that have seen this in person, I think it's probably their favorite project that they've seen of yours.
Okay, so now we can take this to the ironing and iron it so that I can top stitch it.
All right, we'll be right back.
Okay, I'm just finished stitching the other side. And so the next thing that I want to do is take and find the center for this area on both the fabrics and then match them together and clip it. Because then I want to do a basting stitch or just a regular stitch and stitch this area as well as the same on the other side, because that helps hold all the layers together for when we put the gusset in. And then the other thing that we were talking about too that we needed to, I have the zipper that's just the one zipper head on it. You can do it with it just being a box to have one, as opposed to this one where I had two of them to be able to go and open it up.
And you did do the 2 zipper head on the dumpling project. So if you're interested in seeing how that's done, on that project, it was a little bit different because she took the zipper completely apart. This, I think, is easier, less intimidating, because we've got the zipper head still on here, so you don't have to remove it. Whereas if you put 2 on here, you're going to have to feed that zipper head back onto the tape. And that's a little intimidating. But it is easy enough to do, and it's practice, practice, practice for something like that, too.
And I'm going to take my zipper foot off because I can put my regular foot on now. And I'm just going to stitch this area.
And this stitch isn't going to show, so it doesn't really matter your stitch length, whether you baste it or use a regular stitch length or not.
It's going to be inside the seam allowance. I'm doing like an 1/8 inch away from the edge. That didn't turn quite right. And then trim my threads. And then do the other side. Okay, now we've finished doing just a scant stitch seam for the box corners on both sides. And then now we're going to be making a gusset that will be sewn in, just like what you see on here. You do have to hand stitch this side here, but the rest is all sewn in. And
this was the piece that was cut with the 8.5 by
7.
7. So
Yes.
that, when I showed you that earlier, it was orange fabric. Now we're using purple.
And so what I did is I took and I sewed the sides.
And you've got it offset a little bit because that's going to be in our seam.
Yes. Offset it like a 1/2 inch. And then sew down the other side. Clip threads. And then I just usually trim right here in the corners. Just makes it easier for turning. And then once get it turned, then I'm going to use the stiletto. And then I need to take this to the iron and press it so that I
And
can
I'll
top
do
stitch
that. And if you want to talk about top stitching and the decorative stitch or whatever choices.
it. You can choose whatever stitch you want. I just took and did a zigzag stitch on it. You can actually do it the color of the fabric, but I just used the red like I was using on the main piece. So now I'm going to change my stitch to the zigzag. And this is where I usually take and pull the other ends in and then weave it in, so that way then it stays and it's hidden. Okay, so now I've done one side and I have the other side yet to do, but I'm going to take and clip off the zipper right here. And because it'll make it easier to sew it in from the other side. So I want to take, so I know that I've got it cut the same. And I've already inserted this on this side. So then we're going to do the other side. So I need to have it so that good side to good side for the outside. And this is the piece that we made for the gusset. And I find that it's easier to take and sew this together first before putting that on, just to have one seam line as a guideline to go with. And so I'm going to take this and clip it. And do it same to this side. And then we're going to sew the seam. I want to get my thread out of the way here. And back stitch.
And you're using less than a quarter of an inch seam allowance there, is that correct? So
Yeah,
it can be
because
hidden?
it can be hidden that way. And then I'm going to gently go over the,
There's a lot of bulk.
yeah, zipper tape area because I don't want to. And then we're going to
And lining everything up here is really easy because you've got the box bottoms in the template. So you know you're going to have the same thing on each side and on the top and on the bottom.
Then we're going to take and sew the insert like this on this side. And this is where you want to do the 1/4 inch part of it.
And the way that you did the interfacing, it's not in the seam allowance, so there's no extra bulk being added to already bulk plus a zipper tape.
Correct. And then we're going to take and cut the threads. And then you just flip this over. Got a thread here. And then we're going to sew 1/4 inch down this side.
It's kind of a faux binding gusset. You know, if you think about how you would put the binding tape on there to cover up those raw edges, but you're adding that nice little gusset insert So it's doing double duty.
Yes. And then once this is done, then it's a matter of taking some hand sewing thread, and then you want to tack it at the top along the sides and just do hand sewing. And you can do either the like ladder stitch or whip stitch, either one. I'm just going to tack it here at the top so you get the idea.
I think this, once you get used to this process, I think this would be a pretty quick project that I think adds a whole lot more to your typical zipper case. You know, if we've all made zipper cases, my guess is we've all made zipper cases and we've all seen a lot of zipper cases. This is kind of one of those, you know, lately popular projects to do, but I think it's really an easy way to break this down step by step, using the templates, and then, you know, making the basics, knowing that you can add pockets if you want to. We'll take a look at the larger one and see the pocket inside and the side pocket that she added to that one. But this is that basic open wide pouch that I really think you guys will enjoy making and giving as gifts or selling.
Okay, got that tacked.
Cole's like, I want to see. You're almost finished. I want to see.
And there you go.
How cool is that?
Oops,
I
didn't
love
get
it. And then you probably spend a little time poking out the
Yeah, I
corners
didn't get
that
it.
you just did, maybe even giving that a good press. But I think you can poke out with your fingers pretty well. But whether you call it a magic pouch or an open wide or a wide open or a boxy pouch or whatever, I mean, it's just a really neat option for that. Oh, one of the things we talked about the other day was this being placed further back or in the center. You can position the strap wherever it is that you
Yes.
want, based on, you know, when you've got that zipper. And if you look at the zipper placement here, you know, where this is to the zipper, you know, decide where it is that you want. I mean, really, it's this way that you've got this guy coming down the middle. So it's not really sitting where the zipper is down the middle, the zipper's on the side. You know, so whether it's this way with the strap at the top or this way, or the strap at the side or the strap at the top. So you can kind of play around with your zipper or with your strap placement as well.
Yeah, I wouldn't get it too close because it'd be in the zipper way, but you can have it set further back because of all of the other area that it goes with.
Yeah. Yeah,
So it's
definitely.
either
And you
or.
could even have a strap or something on there too if you wanted to carry it as a little purse too. All right, so I want to open this one up and just talk about the couple additions that you added to this. So this guy, again, you did this lined. You don't have to do it lined.
No.
But lined makes it a lot nicer. I would love to see this done out of the clear vinyl. I think that would be really cool, again, for
That would
messy
work.
stuff inside of there. But basically, you're going to be placing this inside your seam, whereas this one, there's no seam. So you'll do it a little bit differently. But you also talked about not having the seam.
Yeah, you could do it and have it so that you make your pocket with just having the seam at the zipper and then sewing the ends in, and then you just have the folded fabric to sew it into the bottom before you put the lining and everything together.
Or you could have it where you're stitching all the way through here before you add everything
True.
else, and you see your stitches at the bottom. So,
True.
you know, there's a couple different ways to do it. So without and with. So this bottom pocket, you can imagine having things in here and things in here and this standing up straight, or your credit cards, your money, you know, those kinds of things that sit down flat. And then you did this pocket as well. And that
Yes.
pocket without a pocket here. Similar to the gusset, kind of, but it creates a pocket.
Right.
And then you could do, like you did for the dumpling, one of the dumplings, you added stitches here.
Yes.
So if you wanted to put your key or your lipstick or
Smaller
whatever.
pockets, yes.
Yeah, which is kind of cool. So this right here and this right here we didn't add. I'm hoping y'all are going to be able to say, oh, I know how to do that. And again, I'm going to have templates for all of those. But for now, this is the small open pouch, open wide pouch. This is, these guys here, this is the large open, wide open pouch. So those templates are available on my website. You can buy them separately, but I'm also going to have the 3x6 strap. That'll give you this perfect strap, fast and easy, so you don't have to do any measuring as you cut. So those will be available on the website too. And then I do have another template that's going to be 8.5 by 7 for this. And then we have another one here and
6.5 wide.
by 5, was it
believe.
5? You did all the math. You did all the math, and you'll actually be able to use it for a couple different things. So not only for the gussets, the inserts, but also for the pockets too. So it'll be a multi-purpose tool, and it'll have 1/2 inch measurements on the two sides where you need it. So that'll be an addition as well. So you can buy however configuration you want, but it's the open wide pouch. Open wide pouch. Thank you to Darla for coming up with a way to do this. And I'm so glad to be able to bring one of those current projects to you with the no-slip material. And it's just fun to have Darla sewing, isn't it? Isn't it great to see her in action and to learn, you know, break it down makes it easier and makes it doable and makes it like, I could do that. So, all right, guys, you can find this on my website, winterdesigns.com. When you go to products, you can search for open, and you'll be able to see it listed there and lots of different options for you. So thanks for watching. Have a great time. Like, comment, share, all of those good things. I appreciate it. And I'm so thankful that we have Darla here. And again, you're going to see more from Darla too. So stay tuned.